All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Farside Business Builder this Thursday. Thank you for joining us. I know there is load shedding and all sorts happening at the moment all over the place, so I'm very grateful for everyone who has rocked up, as I am sure is Bronwyn, our awesome trainer for today. Bronwyn, thank you for joining us. It is such a pleasure to have you. I would like to just talk a tiny bit about Bronwyn because I'm not very good at doing intros and I'm trying to be better. So Bronwyn is the head of Don't Do It Yourself. She is a virtual assistant based here in Cape Town in South Africa, but in her past life, Bronwyn was actually a performer. So I'm quite looking forward to hearing her talk, as I know that she will do really, really well. And she's going to share all about time management, because she manages people's time for them. So she should be able to really help us. Welcome, Bronwyn.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Tamron, so much. So just to chat briefly just about myself and my business first. So I'm not sure if everyone has read what Tamron had written in the blurb. So I started studying performing years ago, and with as a performer, your time is also erratic, and you're going to auditions and castings and things like that, and you have a lot of free time. And my friends at the time, in our 20s, were opening their own businesses or starting their businesses and moving, as we do then. And I just started helping people. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could start a business like this. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to put an advert on Gumtree. Now, Gumtree, though, back in the day, like, does anyone actually use Gumtree now? Do you? Oh my goodness. Because now I feel like everything's Facebook Marketplace, and I think I would maybe be a little bit nervous about Gumtree. But anyway, I did put an advert on Gumtree, and I think that's how you and I met, Tamron, through Gumtree. And things just kind of grew from there organically. And since then, I've been running Don't Do It Yourself. We call ourselves DDIY Lifestyle Management now. And we've been it's actually just me at the moment and suppliers, but been very flexible as to move with clients' needs as time has gone by. So, for example, pre-COVID, we were doing loads of Airbnb management. And then obviously that kind of stopped with COVID. And now the projects that I'm working on, there's lots of like property management, home management, as well as kind of doing people's assistance virtually, what they need. But a lot of stuff is hands-on and just freeing up time so that people can focus on things that matter the most. And it was actually really funny, Tamron, when you asked me to do this talk, when I was just going through all my notes and everything, one of the very, very first, when you start your business plan and you're doing your why. And my why was, so that people can my clients can free up their time and do things that matter the most to them. Because I really, really, really do believe that one should have a balanced life and do things that are going to contribute to their life instead of doing the mundane, which was really important to me. And also one of my best sayings is you can't pour from an empty cup. So to make sure that you have time to do things that you love as well. And I'm just looking at my notes here. I've always kind of lived that way unintentionally. So I know with myself, I consciously decide how my day is going to be planned and spent, and how my time is going to be spent, and also to schedule in those things that I love doing. So it's a non-negotiable for me to go onto the mountain at least like once or twice a week. Those are the things that feed my soul, and those are important. And I think keeping with the theme of beating burnout, especially in this month, like one needs to make time to do these things. So anyway, so that's kind of where the business is at the moment. Lots of kind of property stuff, and it's just me and then the suppliers right now. Had to scale down a lot for after COVID. And yeah, I'm also just being picky as well with who I'm working with. I think that's also important, and that's also a big thing as to how you're spending your time and how you're spending your thoughts as well. Because if you're dealing, I know, like when you're dealing with terrible clients, for example, maybe someone that's very difficult or they don't pay or whatever the case is, you're spending a lot of time and energy on something that's like just never, things that aren't getting resolved or things that aren't, adding anything to your life, where you could actually be spending that time on finding new clients or doing things that are going to just make you feel a little bit happier. Yeah, so that's it about me. Should we get started with the talk? Is that right? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen now, and then share. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Time management. Taking control of your time. So I'm not here today to do a talk about your calendar or time management apps, but I'm rather going to be keeping in the theme of beating burnout. It's chat about time management as a whole, and also some activities to know what you're spending your time on and how you're spending your time. Okay, time management. So this is just the Google definition. Noun, time management, the ability to use one's time effectively or productively, especially with regards to work. It's the key to efficient working. Sorry, I just want to move this over here. And effective time management is the effective use of your time that allows you to plan your days in such a way that you finish your work with less effort and make the most of the limited time you've got. When we're lacking good time management skills, we are more likely to miss project deadlines, produce low quality work. Now, this was the definition on Google. I don't know if you obviously do notice, there's nothing about time with regards to anything else. It's just purely work. I don't know, for me, that's not so great. What is time management to you? So I don't know if anyone wants to answer this question. Yeah.
I like the fact that you just pointed out that it's not just about work. I think that's the thing, is we think of it in terms of work, but time management is about managing your life. It's about giving yourself freedom, but giving yourself time, which I think is really important. And I also see that Rhoda has written a disaster in the chat. So time management is a disaster for her.
Tamron, what is time management? Okay, so yeah, you've just basically said it's about more life management. That's literally what the talk is about. So. Okay, so here we go. A short aside, just before I get to what time management is to me, is that we could go in so many different avenues when we're speaking about this. Is time management even a thing? We can go into a whole philosophy. Time will continue no matter what you do and whether you like it or not. So how you manage and how we manage our time, it's rather about managing our lives. And this is exactly what you said, Tamron. Our goals, our wants, our desires. We decide the things that we'd like to spend our time on. There's no such thing as I don't have time. You are not prioritizing that event or that task. So what is time management to me? To me, making time to fit in all the tasks that I want to do. Now, that doesn't necessarily, again, mean work. That means that I'm going to make time to walk my dog on a mountain. I'm going to make time to do Wordle in the morning. That just relaxes me. That's what I do, and that's a priority. Being able to have free time to do things that you love. So I suppose that's just the same thing as the point of that. The ability to sift through tasks to find the most important ones. Again, that's just about prioritizing what is important to you. And what is important to you is not going to be what is important to someone else. We are all different, and we all have different goals and dreams and desires. And what makes sense to spend your time on for you is not going to make sense for someone else. Being clear and specific with yourself with regards to your goals, to know what you want to work towards and spend your time on. So I know this is actually something that I do struggle with. I struggle with being very clear on my decisions. I feel like we actually are all very lucky that we have many different decisions in different aspects of our lives that we can make and take. And so deciding and being clear on what it is that you want will then inevitably sorry, there was some recording. So to change, I don't have time, so it's not the priority. I don't know if anyone can give me an example of when you said you don't have time. If you can think of anything. Anyway, so often it's not I don't have time. It's that it's not a priority. I mean, I spent a lot of time watching all these productivity hacks and videos. Sorry, battle. Okay. Watching all these productivity videos, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And there was this one lady who gave a talk. And I think it could have actually been about time management. It could have been about productivity. But they were doing a trial of very successful businesswomen. Women and how they manage their time. And women that not only, had businesses, but they also had a full family. And those people that just they do everything. You're like, how are they fitting everything into their schedule? But anyway, so what they did was they were logging their minutes and their hours to see what they were doing before their time. Now, this particular woman, I think it was an American study, if I remember correctly, and they had a small business, perhaps with 12 or so employees and a full family, and something happened with the plumbing at the house, and water burst, the geyser burst, and everything was flooded. Things were ruined. So now, besides on top of having, your daily tasks to do and activities and meetings and now you've got an emergency at home. So because they were doing this trial and they were logging all of her times and her minutes, after she had called the dry cleaners, got the carpets clean, sorted out, the plumbers, replaced the geyser, in 1 week, she had spent 7 hours sorting this out. So now, if I have to say to you or anyone, do you have 7 hours this week to sort this issue out? No. But when something becomes a priority, you make the time. So change, I don't have time, so it's not a priority. You will find the time if it is a priority. It's a nice shift. Okay, so activity 1. Depends how in depth you want to go with this. But log your week. If you don't, it's not a priority for you to log your week, then log your day. And start taking minutes of how your day is going, what you're doing when you're waking up. I know for me, when I wake up, it's important for me to just kind of get a grip on the day. I don't have a family. It's like me and the animals, myself and the animals. And so I wake up I finish my glass of water, I go put the kettle on, feed the animals, and I get into bed and do my word. That's what I do, and that is a priority to me. But if, for example, I was wanting to enter a marathon, then the priority would be to skip one of those things or activities or tasks and to go for a run, or maybe wake up half an hour earlier. So again, what are your priorities? What is it that you want to do? Not only with regards to work, but with regards to everything. Once you know exactly, and once you've written everything down on a piece of paper, it's much easier to change. Like with anything, awareness is the first step to change. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so now this really freaks me out. So let's count the hours in our week. I'm sure some of you have done this before. 24 hours in a day. It's 7 days in a week. So we're working with 168 hours. A lot of you people are number people. So this might be nice for you. Okay, so now say you sleep 8 hours a night to be lucky. So 168 hours minus 56. The 112 hours you're working. Then now you're working at work. Are you doing a 40-hour week? Are you doing a 50-hour week? Are you doing a 60-hour week? I think 60 hours. I mean, just thinking offhand, would be like a 10 or 12-hour day of work. Is that correct? So if you're doing a 10 or 12-hour day of pure work, you're still left with 52 hours at the end of the week. Now, of course, everyone's circumstances are different. You might be a single parent to more than one kid, or be looking after parents, or just have responsibility because that's how life is. And out of those 52 hours, those will be diminished. But how are you spending your time? What are you doing with those other hours? 52 hours seems like a lot of time to me. What can you do? If there is an emergency, you're managing to find the time. It's not that you don't have time, that your things are not a priority. Okay. Next. Prioritize. There we go again. What is the task that you don't want to do? And here's another thing which is nice to think about. So say, for example, we can go into just looking at my windowsill over here. And one of the activities that I want to do would be cleaning the windowsill. Or even I don't like selling. We were having this conversation just before we started, Tamara, and I'm not like a great salesperson for my business. But what happens if someone says to me, or you, the task that you don't want to do, tomorrow I'm going to give you $1 million if you complete it. You'll complete it because then it's a priority. Okay. Activity 2. Decide on the most important areas of your life, for example, family, work, mental health, fitness. You break your life down into whatever categories you want. I mean, normally it would be work, family, kind of, and then your health. And mental health is a big one. Absolutely, yeah. Exercise is one of the hardest things to motivate ourselves to do. And then what are your goals for each area? Because, for example, if exercise is one of the hardest things to do, to have a goal is a really great thing to motivate you. So if you know, okay, I'm going to run a 5K in 6 months' time, then you can start breaking down what you need to do in order to run that 5K. Or, you know, okay, then I'm going to join this running club and they've got runs on a Tuesday and Thursday, and how I'm going to put that into my calendar. We'll chat about those time tips a little bit later. But yeah, what are your goals? And everyone's going to look different. It's not just work. It's not just work. It's important that you are encompassing all the areas of your life. That is how you're going to beat burnout. Again, keeping with the theme of this talk. Once you've made a decision for the things you want to achieve, you can take actionable steps to achieving them. This is the best way to manage your time and start prioritizing your tasks. You know, I know with myself, I can sometimes feel I don't know what I'm working towards. You don't have any clear goals. Again, it all comes around to, I think, just setting those goals and what it is that you want to do. You end up chasing your tail and you're just going through like your lists of the day. And that's when you feel burnt out because you're just like, what have I accomplished? You're just spinning. You're in this cycle and like this hamster race. You feel like you're on a rat race. Okay. Sorry. Balance. So I did just touch on this, but make sure to dedicate the goals to all areas of your life. The most important thing to do is to decide. So no one can do this for you. This is up to you. Like you decide what's important to you. And it was also interesting. Something like with me, it's like I always thought, okay, now I've got this business and I have to grow it. I know what to do in order to grow it. Because that's the thing that one does when you have a business, is you grow it. But that's not actually where I'm at or what's going to work for me. Maybe it is going to be just a lifestyle business so that I can focus on other areas of my life that are going to enrich it. So yeah, I know this is like a business builder, but everyone has different goals. Everyone has different ideas of how their lives should be. And you need to decide that what's important to you. To have a clear goal that'll stop the tail chasing that I spoke about a moment ago. And you just feel like you're spinning and you just like life is just going. You're picking up the kids from school, then you're going to the gym, and then you're going to work, and then you try to find another client, and then you're doing this. There's no like, there's no definition to the day. You're just rolling. Over here. Okay, so 7 times, one per day. 7 time management hacks. You're prioritizing. So learn to say no. Remember that while you may be saying yes to things and you want to people please, or you just don't want to rock any boats, every yes you make is a no to something else. So you're still saying no. But again, like once you are clear on what you want, you will be able to make decisions as to, you know, like which no is better, the better no. So every yes you make is a no to something else. So you may as well get clear what you want. Then have a daily highlight. And I think that this is really important. You know, we were just chatting about that, how things kind of roll, your to-do list rolls into each other, your daily routines roll, the one task rolls into the next task. If you have one thing that you're doing every day that is very important, it makes a big difference because you feel a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day. And I know sometimes life is not like that. But you just have a daily highlight can really make you feel great at the end of the day and tick that off your list. Make lists for everything. I don't know how you make lists, and I think it's just a personal preference. I'm not that person. Although I do use Google Calendar to make lists and time block. It kind of goes into the next point as well. I do love to cross things. I don't know if anyone else does that. I love the satisfaction. Like, yeah, I've got lists. It's just lists. I've got lists everywhere around me right now. And then I would make new lists when I've crossed with those lists to cross something off is very satisfying, especially to me. Do what works for you. There's so much available online that you can find out the systems that will work for you. Then block your time. Oh, sorry, I see that I've left out an S. But set designated time for specific tasks and activities. So in my Google Calendar, because I'm also dealing with lots of different clients, I know, okay, from this time to this time, I'm working for person X. From that time to this time, I'm working for person Y. I'm having time blocks, and I'm making sure that I'm finishing the tasks. Because also I've been doing things for so long now, I know how long things will take. and I'm making sure that I'm finishing the tasks in that designated time, or hopefully. Okay. Parkinson's law. Have you heard of Parkinson's law before? So I just took this from Google. Parkinson's law is the old adage that work expands before the time allotted for its completion. So, for example, I say to you, you have to do a talk next week. Are you going to start today, or are you going to do it kind of just before? Because you know, Tamara, I did this talk pretty recently. It's not, it's Parkinson's law. And that's how we are. We all kind of tend to procrastinate and then do things that we absolutely have to. We'll stretch out the task to the time given. If you have a week, you will take a week. So just to be mindful of that. We're all human, you know what I mean? Like we say we're going to do certain things, but like with that's delegation. So this is actually like what my business is. People delegate to me. They're outsourcing their tasks because they want to spend their time on things that matter the most to them, and they know how much that hour is worth as well. So work out how much your hour is worth. A lot of people say, and I've also said this before for certain tasks, can't outsource it. I'm the only person that can do it. Sure, that works if you're a doctor, psychologist, someone seeing you. But for a lot of tasks, they can be delegated, and you're not the only person that can do them. And then also, and I've also been in this exact position where I cannot do a time to teach someone. Actually, I do have a priority to teach someone, but it's the return on time investment. So yes, you might spend 2 hours, teaching someone how to do something, or setting up the next step is automation. I'm just going to combine it. Setting up your Calendly so that all your meetings are scheduled, and setting up all your payments so they're automated. You might spend time doing that, but you are claiming back on that time later on. In a few months' time, everything kind of balances out, and then you're saving time. You know what I mean? But so delegate, you work out how much your time is worth. And is it worth for you to be spending the whole day cleaning your house? Probably not, because you could be spending your time rather making the money and paying someone to do that. That's actually like one of my problems, because I really do love cleaning. So I procrastinate. It's a thing. No, sorry. Yeah, I'm reading your. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think there's so many books on this. Like Tim Ferriss is like the king of outsourcing. So many. And again, just to go back, and then it's kind of the end of my talk, but time will continue no matter what. It's up to you how you decide you want to spend it. So we're just going back to the philosophy of time. It's got to continue. You decide. That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bronwyn. That's a really good summary because I think that's something that not many people realize, is that time management is, first of all, more about your life than your work. And these are habits that we need to carry through everything. If you can manage your personal time, you can manage your work time. So if you learn these habits, they're going to help you with your work. They're going to help you stay on top of the things that are hard to stay on top of, whether it is work or personal. So I think that was really, really useful. I'm just busy. Just a couple of the questions that we saw. So Rona, you said you battled with saying no. So I know one of the things that helps with that is Bronwyn's first tip, which is clarity of purpose. So knowing your reasons. So I've shared with you, I actually think you attended it, but I shared with you the recording of the talk we did back in March on defining purpose. Because if you walk yourself through those questions again, And you do it every year because your purpose changes. It's not something that stays the same. What's important to you will change over time. Walk yourself through those questions and get clear on why you are doing what you're doing. And that helps you to say no to the wrong things, because you've got that sitting in the back of your head. You know, okay, this is my why. This is what I'm trying to achieve. So every time someone asks you to do something, you go, will this get me closer to what I want to achieve? It might be fun. It might be money. But will it get me closer to what I actually want to get out of this whole situation, whether it is your work or your personal life or, you know, the year or the month ahead of you? Will this get you closer to your purpose? And if it doesn't, the answer is no. And it makes it a bit easier to say no to those things, because especially when you're trying to build a business, you want to say yes to everything that's going to potentially bring you money. But, you know, bringing money doesn't necessarily solve your problem. Ronan?
Is it okay to come in? Yeah, I was just going to say that I will revisit that. Thank you. And Bronwyn, that was really helpful. I was just like, that's me, I need that all the time. In terms of the saying no, where I seem to struggle, my business is very new. I'm juggling a lot of projects and I still have a day job. So where I find it difficult to say no is I find that my very few clients are always just saying, oh, could you just do this? And I think part of my problem is that I'm not good at, I know you said about the time blocking. I do time blocking, but things always take longer, even when I build in a bit of extra overflow time. And I use the Pomodoro app, the Chrome app, just that does the time blocking for you, that helps you focus and not get distracted, because I know the brain doesn't like when you jump around from task to task. But I still find, like, say for example, I'll say, yeah, I'll proofread something for you, and I think it'll take half an hour, and then it ends up taking an hour. Then that already eats into, like, basically my Google Calendar is there, and I get all these reminders, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that today. So I know I need a bit more discipline, and definitely need to learn. Someone was advising me that you just say to clients, I'll get back to you on that. And that just gives you a little breather.
Yeah. So if I can answer this one as well, like, you also a virtual assistant. Yeah. So the longer you go, the more clear you'll be on how long things will take you, because you'll find that you'll start doing the same kind of things over and over again. So you'll know how long. So it will be trial and error, and that's okay. And then also what has been very helpful for me is that sometimes it's not possible to say a no, but you can maneuver the no to give an alternative option. So, no, I won't be able to help you today, but I have time over the next week. Can I get back to you, and can we, what is the latest I can get it to? And then you can kind of figure things out from there. That's been very helpful for me anyway, that you're not under too much pressure.
Yeah, that's a good tip. It's funny, I read somewhere as well, Rona, we tend to, and this is very interesting as human beings, we tend to underestimate what we can achieve in a year, but we overestimate what we can achieve in a day. I don't know why the brain does this, but this is a common thing in human beings. We set ourselves these tiny goals for a year, thinking there's no way we could do more than that. But then in one day, we expect ourselves to do the superhuman. And so one of the things you can actually do in your time blocking is padding. Give yourself padding. So yes, you put aside half an hour to proofread something because that's how long you think it's going to take. Give yourself an hour. Tell yourself you'll spend half an hour of it on the proofreading, but just block an hour, because things don't always go the way we expect. And something might also crop up, and you might have to shuffle things, and then you've got that padding that you can use to shuffle those things. So that's something that might help. Because yeah, I don't know why we do that, but it's definitely something I've seen in myself. I happily set myself a list of tasks for the day that is insane. And then I feel bad because I didn't achieve them all. And I've had to learn over time to just go, let's be a little bit more realistic about how many hours there are in today, and spread these things over the week instead. Also, another resource I have here is we did a book review for Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's a really good book about breaking things down into small bits, like Bronwyn was talking about earlier. So he walks us through the fact that the human brain is lazy. We're lazy by design. We want to do things the easiest way. So if you want to develop good habits or good time management rules in your life, the best thing to do is to make it easy for yourself to do them. So things like exercise, which we never ever want to do. He has actually quite a nice, he uses exercise as an example because he knows it's the hardest one, where he says you start to develop little habits that lead on to the bigger habits. So just as an example, he started when he wanted to start running every day. He started with the habit of taking his running shoes out of his cupboard and putting them by the door the night before. That was all he put on himself to do. If he didn't actually go running the next day, it was okay, because his task was to take the running shoes out of the cupboard and put them by the door. And as soon as that became a habit, he then added another one. He's like, okay, so now I have to put them on in the morning. When I wake up, I put the running shoes on. I mean, this is an extreme example, but it worked. In 6 months' time, he was running every morning because he did this little incremental habit that forced him to do something every day that he actually didn't want to do. So we can do that with all of our tasks, especially things we don't like, is break them down into little pieces. And the easiest thing is to connect them to something that you would do normally. So for me, I started daily exercise by linking 3 push-ups, that was it, to my cup of coffee. I start the day with a cup of coffee. I had to do 3 push-ups before my first sip. And I got into the habit of daily exercise. So it's a great book as well. Are there any other questions? Because I feel like I'm talking a lot here. No questions from anyone? It was a great talk, Bronwyn. Thank you very much. I found it very practical and useful. There were some nice comments in the chat as well. Jackie, I see you said you love your lists and sticky notes. It's a great way to keep control of what you're doing. So okay, we got one more question from Rona. Yes?
Sorry, I'll just help you out. I have another, I'm sure your tips will probably cover this, but another one of my currently bad habits is a sort of mindset that, and this is why exercise always gets missed in the morning. If I can just get this finished, then that's it out the way. And then there's just it just extends your time. So any advice on that kind of how to get rid of that mindset?
Talking to me. Oh, me. Okay. So again, I think it's just, it doesn't all need to be about work. Because I think what you're talking about is if you can just get some of your work done, then your exercise, your life is more than your work. So if exercise is important to you as well, like you need to either wake up half an hour before, or just to be clear on what it is that you want. It's not that you don't have time; it's that it's not a priority.
Mm.
That with when you work out those hours, it really for me, how can there be so many hours? There's not enough hours in the day. I spend a lot of time, for example, walking to the fridge to check if there's anything in there that I didn't buy. I mean, that's a waste of time. that time could be doing 5 push-ups instead. So it's not that you don't have time, it's that it's not a priority. Once you've made your lists about what it is that you want, then you can start taking actionable steps. And again, like, you know, Tamron was talking about, make them small, micro movements. I did a course once, and that's what we had to do. We had to spend, I think we kept journals about our productivity and about how we're spending our time. And micro movements, it's not a big movement. It's breaking things down into the teeniest, tiniest steps, as Tamron had said to do, and that's very, very, very helpful. I don't know if that helps you at all.
That and also actually, Rona, what I would say is like Bronwyn said, it's not all about the work. So it's about also going, okay, I gave this task 20 minutes. I don't have to finish it in 20 minutes. You know, if I've given it its 20 minutes and now I'm going to go do something else, and then I'll give it 20 minutes later on. Because also when we push ourselves too hard on one thing and we spend too much time in one thing, and I'm very guilty of this, I can get completely sucked into work and I look up and it's 4 hours later. And apart from the fact that I haven't done other things, I've also been sitting for 4 hours, or I haven't gotten up and had some water and all sorts of things, which are really, really bad for you. So it's good for you to rather set those time limits and say, I'm going to do this for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to get up and I'm going to go do my 5 push-ups or my walk around the block or whatever the case might be. And then I come back and I go back to this thing for 20 minutes, because getting it done is important, but looking after myself in between is also important. And I'm going to do a better job with that task if I give my brain a break. Because by the time I've gone past 20 minutes, your brain's actually tired. So it's actually fatigued already. If you push it past 30, you're not actually working as well as you would have if you're just giving yourself a 10-minute break. So you would also just in your head reframe it as, in order to finish this task, I need to take this break. As rather than I'll just finish this, then I'll do that. So in order to finish this properly, I need that break. And that might help as well. Christina, that's a good tip, to set alarms to focus your time, because so say I get very sucked in to tasks. I have to set alarms, otherwise I'm going to forget to get up and walk around.
Yeah, me too, for sure. So that's how I know.
And Jackie, you had a question there about deliveries. Because they take such a horrendous amount of time when we're driving around dropping things off. And the same is actually for meetings. I mean, that was something that saved me a huge amount of time in 2020, was this move online. You don't have to drive to a meeting. It saves you massive amounts of time. But sometimes we want to meet in person. So, you know, we've also got to balance our priorities about these things. But if you want help looking at outsourcing, because I think when it comes to something like doing deliveries or phoning clients or following up on things, sometimes outsourcing is your best option. It's because it's taking you away from the work that makes you money, then rather give it to somebody else. So I'm just sharing the link in the chat for our book on outsourcing and how you can structure it and how you can afford it. It doesn't give you all the answers, but it's at least will help you start thinking about it in terms of going, okay, what can I give to someone else? And then how do I afford giving it to someone else? Because that's always our biggest problem. We're doing it all ourselves because we feel like we don't have the money to ask someone else to do it for us. But sometimes you're going to make more money giving it away, because then you can prioritize your job. In some cases, not so much, but a lot of the time that is what happens. So, yeah, I think I answered everything in the chat. If I didn't, please put it in the chat again. Otherwise, yeah, if there's no more questions talking about time management, I think we should all get back to our jobs if there's nothing more today. Is everybody happy? All good. Bronwyn, thank you again. If anyone wants to get in touch with Bronwyn, I have your LinkedIn here, but I know you're not actually that active on LinkedIn, but you can connect with Bronwyn on LinkedIn and when she's on, she can reply. Otherwise, Bronwyn, I don't know if you want to put your email in the chat as well, so people can get
email in.
hold of you. Bronwyn is obviously in Cape Town, so if you want any physical running around done for you, you're going to have to be in the Western Cape, but otherwise I'm sure she can help you with some of your virtual admin as well. And of course, if you do need help with virtual assistants anywhere in the world, please just give us a shout at the far side. We do know some amazing virtual assistants through our network. So Rona, I'm so glad that this helped you. And yeah, if anybody has any issues with building their business, and particularly this month we're looking at preventing burnout, please don't hesitate to just give us a shout, ask for our tips, give us an email, connect with me on LinkedIn, and share your thoughts and your worries, and we'll see how we can help you. Bronwyn, you're on mute again.
I was just saying thank you everyone for coming and listening, and for a very bland presentation. I outsource, so I literally haven't done PowerPoint since I was in standard 1 in computers. So sorry for that very simplified.
Simple is fine, we could follow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tamara.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
and have an amazing day, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Bye.